I am on my way back to the junkyard. Gonna do some work on the, turns out highly flammable dart. So get that done. Got to hook up the transmission linkage. Going to block off some vacuum ports on the carburetor. Try to get it to the point where it idles today. I can't do it very long because I don't have hoses for it yet. I have the radiator, but not the lower hose. I may be able to scrounge one though, so we'll see what kind of progress we make, but had to go get another larger fire extinguisher. Let's get under the hood of this. Let's close off some vacuum lines on the carburetor and start it. All right, here's the first step. What I'm doing is off the other carburetor, I'm going to get that piece of fuel line and a fitting just about this long, close it off, close off this, close off the small vacuum lines and the big ones, every single one of them, and then fill the bowl with fuel, and then see if I can get to start up for a couple of seconds. No radiator, so I can't do it for long, but we'll at least see if we can get it to have some kind of version of an idle, but for just a few seconds. Well, that's 142 of these damn vacuum caps. Got 4 on the front, no, 5 on the front, 3 down there, 1 up here, 1 on the end of the fuel line. Then we have 3 more on the back. Well, let's pour a little fuel in there and see if we can light this thing again. A little bit, way down in there. It's going in. Yeah, time to go to the next level. That engine's gonna run totally fine. Gonna get up under there, hook up the transmission linkage first, and as soon as that'll just take me a couple of minutes, but once I do that, radiator hoses, all this stuff out here. Now I found this fuel pump already halfway removed from this engine. I have no idea what that means. It can mean one of two things. Either it was not working and they were going to replace it, or it was working and somebody was going to take it off to put it on another car, but somewhere along the way they just stopped, and it's a very oily, greasy setup. So I'll get a little pressure going on here, see what happens. I hear some attack kitties down here. Hello, kitty. You an attack kitty? I just heard a meow. Hey there, kitty. You have no tail. I'm sure there's a tragic story behind that. I think this seems to make sense. I took a little piece of hose off right there. See that line? Get my bracket out of here. See that little line right there? Coming off the fuel pump, that goes out and up to the carburetor, because the other one goes toward the back of the car. So let's hook up that one. Well, actually, I need to go get a piece of hose. So what we're going to do is basically route this carburetor using that hard line down to that line, close as we can get it. Get this hard line in place. Want the carb fitting here. .5/8 on the back, 1/2 inch on the front. I just broke the crap out of that little fitting, man. I gotta start all over. I don't know if I have to grab another one of those out of a carburetor, drill that out, or what I'm doing, but give me a minute to take a plan into action here. I gotta admit, it's pretty nice doing this at a junkyard, because when you need a fuel fitting that you just broke off, you go right back to the vehicle you got the carburetor from and grab the fitting, because I left it sitting on the manifold. Let's go get this. Sitting in that little Dodge Ram van right there. All right. Where'd you go, you little dude? There's the line. There's the fitting. Right there. Man, it's so nice to just have spares. You know, spare cars. You know, what just occurred to me as I was out in the field grabbing this part out of a van back there that I was driving my little 4x4 through all the little junk cars and vans and trucks, and I remembered growing up in Kentucky with my two brothers, one of which is no longer with us, and I remember us talking about what we wanted to do in life, and we were kind of normal kids. Father an accountant, and I wanted to have a junkyard, and so did my brothers. I think the thing was, though, we weren't necessarily interested in selling parts off of cars, but we wanted to just have access to all the cool parts. Kind of like at one point in time I wanted to be a policeman. I'll make sure this gasket's in there. At one point in time I wanted to be a policeman, but it was basically, because I wanted to drive the fast cars. I guess we all have those childhood dreams, right? This one's not going to be as tight this time. Put this fuel line back in place. I'll show you kind of what I did here in just a moment once I get this top fitting in place, but I bent this line around a little bit and just got it where it was close to where it's supposed to be. Now I'm going to get this one going, starting it by hand on the first several threads, because you don't want to, I mean, it's not like we have a million cars that have this fitting on it. So see what I did there? I don't know if the angle really shows it, but we just have probably 3 inches of hose that has to go between there. I'll put that on there, and that should button up that part of the project. Well, I'm not a Mopar guy, but I can tell you what rust looks like in various ferns. Just got done jacking this up, that's why I'm breathing hard. That's a little baby rear end. I don't think that's anything special at all. A little plug halfway up. Can't tell the amount of bolts because it's incredibly dirty. Up under there, that quarter actually doesn't look bad, but the rest of the car does. The trunk pan is solid, which is weird. Didn't expect that. But that perch right there for that spring, major issue. Other side got the same issue. The frame rail has some rust right over on the top there. Actually, there's some rust right there through too, but this area is what I was meaning. Looks solid. Normal shocks, not air shocks. Well, no, that's a wire. Thought it was an air shock line for a moment. Drums on the back, nothing fancy. Yeah, I was talking to a buddy the other day. We were thinking, man, that could have had a 340 in it, could have the 8 3/4, could have a Dana. No, it's nothing special at all. It's that little baby rear end in there. Regular shocks. No evidence of anything ever being done back here to modify it. Because I was theorizing before when I saw the intake that didn't look like it really matched the engine. I thought maybe somebody, when they dropped it off at the junkyard, just took an intake and a 4-barrel off of it or something. But as I see more in this, I think it's just stock. Just totally stock up under there. Whoa! When did that air filter housing get on there? I'm feeling very Christine right now. Get my wish list now. Thermostat housing. I'm going to go ahead and do a fuel pump and alternator, unless I can find one around here somewhere. Also, I need a bottom radiator hose. There's still a top one on the radiator, but I'm going to try it. You know, it's not going to last for forever. This is just going to be on there for a while. I'm just trying to get it to the point where it can successfully start and stay running. Also, what I'm going to have to do is mount that fuel tank that's inside the car. Got to put that back under the car. It's actually kind of cool that he did this. It's kind of crusty looking, but it's kind of cool that he did this, if this is the one that goes in this car, because It's dry, there's nothing in it at all, and that's about the best way you could have possibly left this.
Not bad. A fuel pump that's brand new, an alternator that's remanufactured, and a lower radiator hose. $71 plus tax. It'll be here tomorrow.
Here's the next problem I'm addressing, which doesn't look like that big of a deal. I'm gonna get that rod and stick it back in the linkage on the side of the transmission. Yeah, pretty straightforward. First thing we do is make sure it's in park up here. And out here, these are pretty simple. Look down inside there. This piece right here moves up as it goes down inside there. So as it goes into reverse, neutral, drive, low, this piece will come up. It's in its lowest position right now because it's in park, but I'll show you under the car where it attaches. Okay, see this piece right here? Has a little hole going through it. Get that up out of the way there, but see that piece right there with the hole going through it? This rod is gonna go down in there. Gonna take a little bit of jiggling here, but I'm gonna put that through there, put a cotter pin in it, then I'll be done down here. There's some kind of kick down thing above it here. Don't know my Mopars well enough to know. There's the kick down right there. I'm assuming it's basically actuated where when you floor it, it downshifts a gear so you have better takeoff. But let's attach that one first. We'll pop that down through there and get a cotter pin on it. Okay, I'm gonna hop in the car and see if that moves. Right now, like I said, it's in park, and you'll see it'll go click to reverse, click to neutral, click to drive. And I'm assuming this is a 3-speed forward gear transmission, so I'll get up there and try that. Low, second, drive, neutral, reverse, park. You ever have one of those days when you feel like you should buy a lottery ticket? Look what I found just sitting on the ground beside the car. I think I should probably put a washer in there, so don't want to push my luck though. Junkyards are so cool, man. Sitting right beside that little clip. 2 of them, perfect size. Let's put them on. All right, it's gonna take 2 hands to do this, so sticking that through there. And golden. It's a pretty cool view to look up at when you're down here working under the dart. Nice. Got the stuff I need to do the fuel lines. I got 3/8 and 5/16 because looks like a couple of the fittings are the larger and a couple are the smaller diameter. Also, I was going to get just the ones that I needed for the fuel pump, then I remembered I still have the radiator and 2 heater hoses. So I got the whole pack. In a rare example of forethought, I always pay attention when I'm putting the clamps on these hoses where they will be aiming. So as I'm tightening them and then perhaps at a later date taking them off, it'll be the easiest it can be. Well, let's look at the linkage here. This is the kick down. This is for the throttle. But I still need to figure out where this attaches. All right, here's the problem. As I'm trying to make this thing, this little rod here, go up in here, that little stud is too big. However, the old carburetor, it fits. So, taking this piece off, putting it on that one. You know, I have always wondered why manufacturers made little bitty changes like this, like the size of that little shaft on there. I mean, was it a cost-cutting thing? Was it bigger if you had the V8? I don't know. There's a famous story of Henry Ford, who was notoriously just a penny pincher. And back in the day, like 20s or 30s, he wanted to save a little bit of money. he had manufacturers sending him various components and things like that to build the car. And he had an idea one day. He needed wood, very particular sizes of wood, to help build the interior of one of his cars. So he went to one of the companies that supplied parts for the building of his cars and said, is there a way that you could put those parts in a box this size instead of this size? And they said, why, sure. So when Henry Ford started getting those new boxes, he basically had his workers take them apart, put them in the car, so he got all the wood and the wood cut down to the proper size, totally free. On the other side of that, however, in 1931, the year of the Model A, which would have been 28 to 31, he made a slant windshield version. The rest of the car was the same except the windshield, and it made the door a little different. So he had all these extra tooling costs. And I have no idea why he did that, because it's bound to cost a whole lot more money, you know? Let's put that one there. Put this one over. Yeah. You know, it just occurred to me that I've never ever checked what this engine actually is. It would probably be a 273 if it came with this, but I watched a video and it tells me where I can see it. So let me get my finger here, wet that. See that? It's a 318, but it was made in, that first digit is a 6, meaning it was either made in 66, 76, or the rest of it can be determined by those first 7 digits. And there's also, I can't really get to it now, but way down there by the starter, way down up under there. Like I said, I can't even see it now, but I'll get up under there and clean it so you guys can.
Well, I guess there's no shame in your game if you weigh 2,600 pounds and have 230 horsepower. It's not going to burn up the streets, but it's not going to be a pooch. I may have to cam it. Yeah, I'm going to have to cam it. On the next video, we put on an alternator, a thermostat and housing, we put on a fuel pump, we put on a radiator hose, and we find a radiator in that junkyard. We're going to brave the water moccasins and alligators once again, because I need a radiator. I'm sure they'll understand, right?